This is the final word for all that cricket fueled by Kookaburra cricket. I'm here at Lord's, Adam Collins, with award-winning journalist Vithushan Ehantharajah. Towards the end of the cricket season, that's why he's in a jumper and I'm in a jacket. You might be able to hear at the back a bit of a roar. That's for Kookaburra's own Toby Rowland-Jones, who's just smashed his way to a half-century for Middlesex. What a wonderful season he's had, from starting as a county player, now well and truly an English bowler, and on his way to an Ashes tour.
Yeah, no, it's been a very impressive, I suppose, not necessarily, you wouldn't say that this was his breakthrough season, but certainly over the last few years, having played at Lord's and getting used to bowling on quite tough decks, we've always felt watching that there was a test bowler in there somewhere, and it's nice actually to be able to see the way he started. Certainly that debut against South Africa really did a number on some very impressive batsmen, which I suppose is what you get when you bowl on tough decks, don't you? You have to find a way of somehow making something out of nothing, making opportunities, and he's done that for the last 3 years. He was a huge part of Middlesex's success last year in winning the division, winning the championship. I suppose the fact that they haven't seen as much of him this season might be why they're currently facing a relegation battle as well.
Let's stay with county cricket to begin with. We're at the penultimate round of county games watching Middlesex play, but down the road in Essex, they won the whole thing last week. Essex were promoted to Division 1 after winning Division 2 last year, and no one could have possibly saw them going the whole way. I know you were through about seeing them go all the way, but again, it was another Essex player in Dan Lawrence, another Kookaburra player indeed, who we talked about a bit on this segment earlier this year. He's done extremely well.
Yeah, this was Darren Lawrence's first season in Division 1 cricket, and I think impressing so well, doing so well last season. I think there was certainly people waiting to see how he was going to perform at the highest level. Certainly he's been talked about for England opportunities for the longest time, someone who's gone through the age groups and excelled all the way through the age groups, and just had that something about him, just whether it's the whip away through square leg or the fact that he spent the best part of the day this season batting out a draw against Carl Jarvis, James Anderson, Ryan McLaren, a test strength bowling attack for Lancashire, which essentially helped Essex on their way. If they'd lost that game, they would have gone on to lose a few other games and be chasing their tail. But as it happens, they consolidated at the beginning of the season. They got those wins through the middle and currently are unbeaten as well. So very impressive from him. Yeah, well, 8 wins from 12 games so far. But it's been with the ball principally, hasn't it? Essex have really won games by taking 20 wickets each week. Yeah, so there was this talk about this Kolpacalypse, all these Kolpak players coming over and infiltrating the English game, and the most successful has been Simon Harmer. He's, as of now, has taken 63 wickets with that off-spin that we saw a few times in Test cricket. We weren't really sure how good he was, but he came over and he's done brilliantly. And also the other end, Jamie Porter, who's a young seamer who was actually on the books here at Middlesex, didn't quite make the grade, then was here back again as the MCC Young Cricketers, which is almost a safety net really for players who fall out of the system, certainly young players in general. And then found a home at Chelmsford and has excelled beyond belief really. He doesn't bowl at any great pace, probably about 83, 84 miles an hour, moves it a bit. There's an element of philander there, if I'm not putting too much praise on him at such a young age, but just does enough with the ball, just the right amount of pace, and 64 wickets I think for him. It's been been brilliant from the bowling department at Chelmsford.
Could there be international implications for Porter as well? They're obviously picking a squad to go to Australia at the moment, and someone that has done well in this county season. Do you reckon he could be on the plane to Australia come November?
Difficult to say. There's such such an attraction to pace, and as I just said there, I suppose 83, he's not going to tick over that scale of God, he's someone you might want to have. He's not necessarily a tremler or a Finn who's tall and going to hit the deck hard, and that might work against him, but I don't know, dare to dream. It'd be great to see him given that opportunity.
There are a lot of international implications here as well at Lord's today. We've got Haseeb playing here, also got Milan playing here, maybe even Livingston. It's sort of towards the back end of this season, a lot of talk about that. Let's focus specifically on the batsmen. Who do you think will fill those sort of vacancies in the top order for England, if indeed there are a couple coming out of the West Indies series?
Well, I'd say the open situation for now is sorted. I mean, it's never fully sorted. It was supposed to be Hamid broke his finger, then it was Jennings, then Jennings had a poor start to the season, Hamid had a poor start to the season, and then Mark Stoneman has come in, and at 30 years old he's seen as a bit more experienced, but really come in, really done a job, really knows his game, and I think that's crucial when you go to a place like Australia. You don't need any question marks of your own self-worth, let alone your position, and it seems like he's the man in possession so far. Hamid will be an interesting one, because it might even be a case that we're still looking for that number 3 slot. Certainly Trevor Bailey said that he wants Joe Root to bat there. Joe Root doesn't really want to bat there, and it might even be a case that England think about trialling someone like Hamid, maybe go for an opener batting at number 3 rather than essentially a number 4 at number 3, which is basically what they have in someone like Tom Wesley. So certainly I think Hamid will go on the tour. I think Ben Folkes will go on the tour as well, not just as a substitute keeper but as a middle order batsman as well. David Milan, again, we talk about men in possession. David Milan hasn't done anything wrong really. Yeah, essentially he'll probably start out in Australia, but it's all fairly settled until, defeat at Brisbane, and then it all goes out the window.
We've gone from the county games to the Test cricket. We've also got some one-dayers still being played around the country between England and the West Indies. What sort of meaning can we draw from those so late in the season, so late in the summer, almost into the winter? We're playing on the 29th of September down at the Rose Bowl, a day-nighter. That's going to be brutal.
I did quite enjoy the one and only T20. It was played at Durham. It was raining, it was cold, and everyone was wondering whether the West Indies would turn up. And then they smashed England to pieces. It's funny that they're defending world champions. They seem to know what they're doing, regardless of the weather. How much can we take from it? It's not really too much. I think a lot of this tour will actually be about getting some Test players up to scratch. I think Jake Ball's going to play a bit of certainly play some of these ODIs, and I think he might be someone who is eyeing up a potential place in that bowling cartel. Mark Wood is missing this round of championship games through a heel injury, and Mark Wood is someone who's been dogged by injuries for the last couple of years, as you at home will know, will be all too aware of. So there are certainly those kind of places up for grabs, and I think while we have a lot of red ball cricket to play in terms of determining those final places, I think this ODI series will see people like Bairstow and Stokes get into form and hit a few balls before the winter, but also gives the opportunity for players on the fringes to really state their claim.
Thank you, Vithushan Ehantharajah, for a comprehensive wrap on where England cricket's at towards the end of this summer. Winter it's becoming all of a sudden. We'll be back next week with Josh Butler, so keep an eye out for that at the back end of that one-day series. Until then, this is the final word for all our cricket, fueled by Kookaburra Cricket.
My Kooka moment would have to be the 2015 Cricket World Cup final in Melbourne. Definitely the biggest crowd I've ever played in front of, especially in Australia, and to open the bowling for Australian World Cup final was pretty special, but then to knock over big Brendan McCullum in the first over and hear that roar of the home crowd was very, very special to hear 95,000 people at home, and then to go on and win that World Cup was definitely my Kooka moment.